We all want a marriage that lasts, and our next guest says that there are some commonalities among couples who are really trying to be able to make it work and who are thriving.
KSL contributor Heather Johnson is dipping into an 86-year-long research project out of Harvard that is still ongoing. 86 years, the length of the study and what it's been able to uncover.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. The study was started with Harvard sophomores. They wanted to just see what created a good life. And so back in 1938, they started this, and it is still going. We're looking at 8 decades where they have obviously gone to new generations, and they're still collecting information. I think one of the coolest things about longitudinal studies like this is that it helps us see patterns. And we can trust patterns because we've seen them happen over and over again. So there's a lot of trust that we can put into what Harvard has found and apply to our marriages because it's happened repeatedly for such a long period of time.
Now, there's a couple of phrases right here that they give us in the findings, and I want to kind of just run through them here for people at home. I'll just kind of give you the phrases that some of these findings, and you give me your reaction here, okay? Ready? So, can we chill out a little?
Yeah, absolutely. It's time. Let's do that, right? Okay. Enough is enough.
Okay, so that's one. We need to stop being right.
Because when we're right, we can't connect. So we need to worry more about peace and less about being right.
Okay, and then we should not make our ego part of our marriage.
Yes, because it's
some people
always
have that more difficulty than others with that one, you know?
Right?
Yeah.
It's interesting because we hear those things, and really we think of marriages lasting because we think romance, and we think flowers, and we think candlelight dinners. I think our minds go to that quick, when really we need to come back to ourselves, and we need to love the imperfect person a little bit better, and let go of some of those things that we hold on to, like our ego. We've got to do more of that, and that's what Harvard's found.
Now, to go a little bit more in depth, couples whose marriages last a long time, they're really okay with some of the quirks that come along with it. Like they've just learned to embrace them.
Absolutely, they've learned to accept them.
Right, the little idiosyncrasies we all do.
So think about that, right? That's your spouse. Maybe they snore, or maybe they tell the same story over and over and over again, right? Or maybe they come home and you've got everything taken care of, and they always put their keys in their wallet right in the middle of something, a space you've already cleaned. Those are quirks. What we try to do in marriages is we often try to retrain our spouse to get them to do things in certain ways, instead of just wrapping our arms around the fact that we all have quirks, them included. Us included, right?
My wife tells me that I leave the cupboards open all the time.
Yes.
I had no idea.
A common complaint, right? And so to go, okay, so you leave the cupboards open all the time. So what? So we can close them, or we can leave them open. And either way, it's something we can come to love about them instead of constantly trying to retrain them.
Yeah, and I feel like, and this is one of the questions I've had with this, is that couples who have marriages that last a long time, instead of being upset about the cupboards or whatever it is those little things are, they choose peace instead of conflict.
They do. They're really good at choosing peace over conflict, which means they're not worried about being right. Now, the way this sounds in a marriage on a day-to-day basis, because it adds up, is someone saying, hey, it's going to be pretty cold today. And their spouse says, well, it's not going to be that cold. And they say, well, actually, it's going to be 50 degrees. And they say, well, 50 degrees isn't always that cold. I think you'll be fine.
And then you can see the train leave the station.
Exactly right. And then an hour later, right, you have that same interaction, that need to be right. We have to choose the relationship and the peace that comes instead of, hey, I need to be right about something. And as soon as we do that, there's connection. Marriages that last, they don't have to be right. They care more about the relationship than they do being right. It's really important.
Yeah, and that kind of ties in with just quickly taking responsibility too, right? Not necessarily having to be right, just being like accepting of their perspective.
Yes, and even more than accepting, being the one that will raise your hand and say, hey, here's my contribution that I need to change. So in marriages that last a long time, 3 decades or more, these marriages always have at least one spouse who will come in quickly and take responsibility. They don't take forever, they come in pretty fast and they say, hey, I'll take responsibility for this, even if they think they're right. And that's the key there, right? How many times do we actually come in and say, hey, let's reconnect, when in the back of our minds we're going, I know I'm right. Yeah. I know you messed this up. I know I didn't do anything wrong here. We don't tend to do that. So we have to put the ego aside and care much more about that reconnection than we do, again, being right or being seen.
Well, it feels like that is putting, as you mentioned, you're putting the relationship and the partnership over the whatever it is in the moment, right? And that really kind of feels like that's the strength of making it work.
Absolutely. This is a situation where we're going to make sure that it's going to be us against everyone else. And again, when things are hard, and in this Harvard research, what we found is all of these couples dealt with challenging things. We're not talking, we're talking about everyday people just like us that have challenges all the time. They dealt with debt. They ran businesses together. They dealt with loss, right? They dealt with those things. When those things happen, we tend to blame. We tend to look at our spouse and make it you against me. These couples, again, that went 3 decades or longer in their marriage successfully, they said, it's us against the debt. It's us against the challenges of running a business. It wasn't them against each other. It was them against the challenge. They did that successfully instead of blaming, and it's a beautiful thing to be able to do.
That is so telling over that amount of time, like you said, looking for the patterns.
Absolutely.
These are great reminders. Heather, how can people get in touch with you if they want to know more?
You can find me through KSL's website online.
Sounds good. Thank you, Heather.